Vasudevaya. Om Namo Bhagavate Vasudevaya. Narayanam Namaskritya Naram Chaiva Narottamam Devim Saraswatim Vyasam Tato Jayamudiriye Nashtaprayeshu Bhadreshu Nityam Bhagavata Sevaya Bhagavati Uttam Shloke Bhaktir Bhavati Naistiki. So continuing with the discussion on Srimad Bhagavatam, Canto 7, Chapter 9, Prahlad pacifies Lord Nrsimhadev with prayers. Text number 46 onwards. So, wonderful, exquisite prayers by Prahlad Maharaj, and still continue on. मौन व्रत श्रुत तपो अध्ययन सुधर्म व्याख्या रहो जाप समाधय आप वर्गया प्राया परम पुरुष ते त्वजितेन्द्रियाणाम वार्ता भवन्ति न वात्र तु दम्भिकानाम. O Supreme Personality of Godhead, there are 10 prescribed methods on the path to liberation: to remain silent, not to speak to anyone, to observe vows, to amass all kinds of Vedic knowledge, to undergo austerities, to study the Vedas and other Vedic literatures, to execute the duties of Varnashram Dharma, to explain the Shastras, to stay in a solitary place, to chant mantras silently, and to be absorbed in trance. These different methods for liberation are generally only a professional practice and means of livelihood for those who have not conquered their senses. Because such persons are falsely proud, these procedures may not be successful. As stated in Srimad Bhagavatam, Kechita Kevalya Bhaktya Vasudeva Parayana. Only a rare person who has adopted complete, unalloyed devotion service to Krishna can uproot the weeds of the sinful actions, with no possibility that they will revive. He can do this simply by discharging devotion service, just as the sun can immediately dissipate fog by its rays. The real purpose of human life is to attain liberation from material entanglement. Such liberation may be achieved by many methods, tapsa, brahmacharena, shamena cha, damena cha. But all of them more or less depend on tapasya, austerity, which begins with celibacy. Shukdev Goswami says that those who are Vasudeva Parayan, who have fully surrendered to the lotus feet of Lord Vasudeva, Krishna, automatically achieve the results of mona, silence, vrata, vows, and other such methods simply by discharging devotion service. In other words, these methods are not so powerful. If one takes to devotion service, all of them are very easily performed. So devotional service, bhakti, it contains everything, whether it is tapa, gyan, any austerity, any charity, anything. It contains everything. Only thing is, bhakti has to be performed properly. Because the purpose of tapasya is one, to control the senses, two, to purify the senses, means not engaging the senses in some material baser activities. And in bhakti, it's automatically done to control the senses because we are engaging the senses in the service of the Lord. And by giving them higher taste, that definitely the senses are purified. So that's why bhakti is so powerful. Mauna, for example, does not mean that one should just stop speaking. This is what people, there's so many times in Kumbh Mela, we see this Moni Baba. He just keeps a slate and a chalk with him that he's not going to speak, and whatever you ask, he's going to just write it down. But Prabhupada says that is not actually not speaking, that is Mauna. Mauna actually means engaging our tongue only in the service of Krishna. The tongue is meant for speaking, although sometimes to make a big show, a person remains silent. There are many who observe silence some day in a week. Vaishnavas, however, do not observe such silence. Silence means not speaking foolishly. That is Prabhupada. Speakers at assemblies, conferences, and meetings generally speak foolishly like toads. This is described by Srila Rupa Goswami as Vacho Vegam. One who wants to say something can show himself to be a big orator, but rather than go on speaking nonsense, better to remain silent. This method of silence, therefore, is recommended for persons very attached to speaking nonsense. One who is not a devotee must speak nonsensically because he does not have the power to speak about the glories of Krishna. If we are not speaking about the glories of Krishna, anything else is nonsense. Thus, whatever he says is influenced by the illusory energy and is compared to the croaking of a frog. One who speaks about the glories of the Lord, however, has no need to be silent. Chaitanya Mahaprabhu recommends Kirtanya Sadahari. One should go on chanting the glories of the Lord 24 hours a day. There is no question of becoming mauna or silent. So the real austerity of tongue is to speak about Krishna and to eat prasadam. And those Babajis, as Prabhupada says, sometimes to make a big show, a person remains silent. Of course, Prabhupada once, he was in an assembly and everybody was presenting their viewpoints and some Mayavadis came and for them, Prabhupada, he better remain silent. Whatever he's speaking is nonsense anyway. What is the use? But Prabhupada could say that. We cannot say that. The 10 processes for liberation or improvement on the path of liberation are not meant for the devotees. Kevalya Bhaktya. If one simply engages in devotion service to the Lord, all 10 methods of liberation are automatically observed. Prahlad Maharaj's proposal is that such processes may be recommended for the Ajitendriya, those who cannot conquer their senses. Devotees, however, have already conquered their senses. Sarvopadi Viniramuktam. A devotee is already freed from material contamination. See, devotees, however, have already conquered their senses. This is Prabhupada's definition of devotees. We love to call ourselves. So I am devotee. I am doing bhakti for the last 20, 30, 40 years. But if we have no control over our senses, we're not even devotees yet. Forget about advanced devotees or this devotee or that devotee. But we put so many adjectives in front of that. Devotees have already conquered their senses. But anyway, we are struggling to be devotees. We are trying, that's all. Srila Bhakti Siddhanta Saraswati Thakur therefore said, Dushtamana tumi kishera Vaishnava. There are many who like to chant the Hare Krishna mantra in a silent, solitary place. But if one is not interested in preaching, talking constantly to the non-devotees, the influence of the modes of nature is very difficult to surpass. Therefore, unless one is extremely advanced in Krishna consciousness, one should not imitate Haridas Thakur, who had no other business than chanting the holy name always, 24 hours a day. Prahlad Maharaj does not condemn such a process. He accepts it, but without active service to the Lord, simply by such methods, one generally cannot attain liberation. One cannot attain liberation simply by false pride. And this is the point that Bhakti Siddhanta Maharaj made. दुष्ट मना तुम किशेर वैष्णव प्रतिष्ठार तारे निर्जनेर घरे तब हरि नाम केवल कैटव means pratisthar tare, just for show or to get some respect from others. Nirjana ghare means nirjanera ghare means you sit in a solitary place and you think you can chant the holy name. And Bhakti says, Tava Harinam Keval Kachava. Your Harinam in chanting in this way is only one. It's false. Kachava. It's just a show. As Prabhupada said, one should not imitate Haridas Thakur or even try to imitate him. So the real purpose of a Vaishnava, of a devotee, is to preach. Of course, we have to do our chanting, our sadhana, our seva, so that gives that makes us immune to the onslaughts of Maya. But after that, we have to go out and preach. That's a real way of making advancement. But other places, Prabhupada did say, even if somebody wants to imitate Haridas Thakur and chant, and he said imitation of a good thing is not bad. So it will give some help, but obviously if we don't have that love for chanting, then we cannot continue for a long time. So to develop that love for chanting, we have to come to the level of controlling or conquering our senses. And that is possible by preaching. So once in a while, taking a break and chanting just like we do on Nirjala Ekadashi Day, that is always good. That gives us some impetus or some love for the holy name. But other than that, we have to chant, and minimum Prabhupada 16 rounds. It's not maximum, but preaching is also very, very important. So we have to combine everything and then live our devotional life. Rupe ime sadasati tav ved srishte bijankuraviv na chanyadar rupakasya yukta samaksham ubhyatra vichakshante tvam yogen vahanim ev darushu nanyatah syat. By authorized Vedic knowledge, one can see that the forms of cause and effect in the cosmic manifestation belong to the Supreme Personality of Godhead, for the cosmic manifestation is His energy. Both cause and effect are nothing but energies of the Lord. Therefore, O my Lord, just as a wise man, by considering cause and effect, can see how fire pervades wood, those engaged in devotional service understand how you are both the cause and effect. As described in previous verses, many so-called students of spiritual understanding follow the 10 different methods known as Mauna, Vrata, Shruta, Tapo, etc. These may be very attractive, but by following such methods, one cannot actually understand the real cause and effect and the original cause of everything. Janmadya Sayata. The original source of everything is the Supreme Personality of Godhead Himself. This original source of everything is Krishna, the Supreme Ruler, Ishvara Paramaha Krishna. He has his eternal spiritual form. Indeed, he is the root of everything. Whatever manifestations exist, their cause is the Supreme Personality of Godhead. This cannot be understood by so-called silence or by any other hodgepodge method. The supreme cause can be understood only by devotional service. Bhaktya Mama Vijanat. Elsewhere in Srimad Bhagavatam, the Supreme Godhead personally says, Bhaktyaham ekaya graya. One can understand the original cause of all causes, the Supreme Person, Only by devotional service, not by show bottle exhibitionism. Show bottle exhibitionism means it's everything else, as Prabhupada says, it's just a show. It's just for a matter of show to impress people, to earn some prestige. Only a devotee, he doesn't do devotion service for any other purpose except for pleasing the Lord. So real cause and effect can only be understood if we engage in devotion service. Because a yogi or a tapasvi or a jnani, they cannot come to that level because Krishna himself won't reveal everything to them. And moreover, in their paths, in those paths, one generally only depends, not generally, one only depends upon his own capability, his own strength, instead of depending upon Krishna. Cause and effect. He is the original cause of everything, and he is the effect. Because ultimately everything is his energy. So a devotee only depends upon the Lord, and then the Lord reveals everything to a devotee only. Tvam vayur agnir vanir viyadambu matra pranenindriyani hirdayam chidanu grihascha sarvam tvameva saguno vigunascha bhuman nanyat tvadasyapi mano vachasa niruktam. O Supreme Lord, you're actually the air, the earth, the fire, sky, and water. You're the objects of sense perception, the life airs, the five senses, the mind, consciousness, and false ego. Indeed, you're everything, subtle and gross, the material elements, and anything expressed either by the words or by the mind are nothing but you. This is the all-pervasive conception of the Supreme Personality of Godhead, which explains how he spreads everywhere and anywhere. Sarvam kalam idam Brahma. Everything is Brahman, the Supreme Brahman, Krishna. Nothing exists without him. As the Lord says in Bhagavad Gita, Maya tadam idam sarvam. I exist everywhere and everything exists in me. Yet I am not visible everywhere. Avyakta Murtina. The Lord can be visible only through devotional service. Tatra tishtami narada yatra gayanti madhavakta. The Supreme Lord stays only where his devotees chant his glories. So he is everywhere, but he doesn't manifest himself to anybody and everybody because we are not qualified. Only by devotion service, especially by chanting his glories, we become qualified. And then slowly, he manifests himself to us. Otherwise, everything is energy of the Lord. Nothing is separate from him. Nothing exists without him. It cannot. And nothing is maintained without him. It just can't. But to come to that understanding, it's very, very difficult. Naite gunana gunino mahadadayo ye sarve mana pravritya sahadeva martya adyam tvanta urgaya vidanti hi tvam evam vimrishya sudhiyo viramanti shabda. Neither the three modes of material nature, Sattvagun, Rajagun, and Tamagun, nor the predominating deities controlling these three modes, nor the five gross elements, nor the mind, nor the demigods, nor the human beings can understand your lordship. For they are all subjected to birth and annihilation. Considering this, the spiritually advanced have taken to devotion service. Such wise men hardly bother with Vedic study. Instead, they engage themselves in practical devotional service. So, course, I mean, the Acharyas, Prabhupada, Bhakti Siddhanta Saraswati Maharaj, Bhakti Vinod Thakur, Baldev Vidyabhushan, Vishwanath Chakravarti Thakur, Jeev Goswami, they have not only studied Vedas and other literatures, but they have written commentaries, elaborate commentaries on books. But for them, it was devotional service they were performing. Studying scriptures can be devotional service and can be like the Gyanis do, without referring or without giving credit for everything to the Lord. So Vedic study can be done both ways. So the devotees, they don't like to study the Vedas without that kind of inclination. They study with the devotional attitude. As stated in several places, Bhaktya Mam Abhijanati, only by devotional service can the Supreme Lord be understood. The intelligent person, the devotee, does not bother much about the practices mentioned in text 46, Mauna Vrata Shuta Tapo. After understanding the Supreme Lord through devotional service, such devotees are no longer interested in the studies of the Vedas. Indeed, this is confirmed in the Vedas also. The Veda says, Kim Artha Vayam. What is the use of studying so many Vedic literatures? What is the use of explaining them in different ways? Vayam Vakshyamahe. No one needs to study any more Vedic literatures, nor does anyone need to describe them by philosophical speculation. And as Krishna also says in Bhagavad Gita, by all the Vedas I am to be known. This is the purpose of studying the Vedas. And if by studying the Vedas, one only gets into philosophical or mental speculation and not come to the understanding of Krishna, then what's the point in studying the Vedas? Means then our study of Vedas is not correct. And one who has understood Krishna, one who is serving Krishna, he has no need to study the Vedas. Of course, if devotees who have the capabilities and they study the different scriptures, it's basically their purpose is to understand the scriptures from devotional point of view and to preach to big scholars. So the scholars won't give us the proper respect if we don't speak in their language. In fact, there's a story of Vishwanath Chakravarti Thakur, and his disciple was Baldev Vidyabhushan. And in Jaipur, there was a king of Jaipur, and different acharyas had come. He had called for Shastras among different scholars. So Vishwanath Chakravarti Thakur sent Baldev Vidyabhushan because Vishwanath Chakravarti Thakur was old and he was sick also. He could not go. He sent Baldev Vidyabhushan to participate in that discussion. Now, Baldev Vidyabhushan, being a Gaudiya Vaishnava Acharya, he went to represent Gaudiya Vaishnavism, but all the Acharyas there, they say Gaudiya Vaishnavas don't have their own commentary on Vedanta Sutra. So we don't consider you a bona fide path or sect. So we cannot allow you here. It was so strict. So Baldev Vidyabhushan, he was very much distressed and depressed, and he came to the temple of Govind Dev Ji. And he prayed to Lord Govind Dev, and Govind Dev appeared in his dream at night. And Govind Dev said, you start writing a commentary on Vedanta Sutra, and I will help you. And the the discussion, the Shastras was just like maybe a couple of weeks later. And Baldev Vidyabhushan was like, how can I write a commentary on Vedanta Sutra in such a short time? It has never happened before. Vedanta Sutra are huge. To write commentary according to Gaudiya Vaishnava point of view, it is just impossible. And Govind Dev Ji said, no, you go ahead, do it. I'll help you. So Baldev Vidyabhushan said, okay. And he's starting writing the commentary. And before the discussion, before the Shastras, he finished his commentary and he brought it in the assembly. And in the assembly, all the scholars were amazed how in such a short time he can write such a commentary. And the commentary was perfect, scholarly, every way they look at whatever way. I'm not a scholar, so I don't know. But there are different parameters. The commentary was perfect. And Baldev Vidyabhushan, he named his commentary as Govinda Bhashya. He said, Lord Govind Dev helped me in writing. So it should be named Govinda Bhashya, just like Shankaracharya's commentary is called Sharirak Bhashya. So it's not like the acharyas or devotees cannot or don't study. It's just they study to establish the position of Krishna among all Vedic literature. And Krishna says in Bhagavad Gita also, Yada te moho kalilam buddhir vyati tarishyati. When one understands the Supreme Personality of Godhead by executing devotional service, one ceases the practice of studying the Vedic literature. Elsewhere it is said, Aradito yadi harish tapsa tatahakim, Narad Pancharatra. If one understands the Supreme Personality of Godhead and engage in his service, there is no more need of severe austerities, penances, and so on. However, if after performing severe austerities and penances, one does not understand the Supreme Personality of Godhead, such practices are useless. So we want to have a best of both. Well, we understand, we engage in the service, we try to study the scriptures. At the same time, we want to understand, not just understand, we want to serve the Supreme Lord. So this is a process that Prabhupada has given us, and if we continue on that process, definitely we'll have all the desired results what Prabhupada has said. Okay, so I'll stop here. See anybody has any questions or comments.
Hare Krishna Prabhuji, Hare Krishna Prabhuji.
Hare Krishna Mata, how are you?
Fine Prabhuji. Aap kaise ho?
Well, it's a very auspicious day. Today is Shonavesh in Jagannath Puri. So this is behind me, Lord Jagannath's gold lotus feet.
Jai Jagannath.
And tomorrow they will be allowed to go inside by Lakshmi Ji.
So Prabhuji, what happens today? Is that Alankar or because I don't know the story. Like, what is the value of today?
See, Lakshmi Ji got very upset because Jagannath Baldev were the brother sisters. They went to Vrindavan and they said, we'll be back in 2-3 days. And they're coming back in after 9 days. So she's very upset. How did they leave me alone here? So today, to please her, they all three brothers, sister, and Sudarshan also, they wear this gold ornaments and gold attire, full gold, to please Lakshmi Ji, because Lakshmi Ji likes gold. So tomorrow, well, in India, it's already today, so 22nd. So then in the evening, they get down from their chariot and they go inside. Lakshmi Ji now is pacified, so she allows them. So first Subhadra Ji goes, Then no, first Balramji, then Subhadraji, or first Sudarshan, then Balram, then Subhadra. And then when Jagannathji is going in, Lakshmiji closes the gate again. She doesn't allow him to come. She's still upset with her. So then he offers her rasgulla, lots of rasgullas. And then she eats those rasgullas and then she's happy and then she allows. and in fact, before they get down from the chariot, there is a ceremony, another ceremony called Adharpanna. So huge pots, very tall pots are offered to Jagannath Baldev Subhadra, full of different kind of, it's a very different kind of preparation. Lots of chena is there and other items. And what they do, they break those pots on the chariot. Literally break, and everything falls under the chariot. The point is, all the 33 crore Devi Devatas, all the Pret, Bhoot, everybody, they come to attend the Rath Yatra. And this is their prasad. They get the prasad, and this is considered like it's gone for them. Of course, because of Ganesh Baba, we also get some of that prasad. But you should watch that video, how they offer this big pot and then they break it and everything just flows down.
I'll watch it probably, definitely. But then one thing has just come out of this, the result of the story of Rasgulla, because West Bengal and Odisha both have a fight on Rasgulla, where it was invented first. So by this one, I can imagine that obviously Odisha is the winner, because in West Bengal, I think back, some Marwadi has invented halwai or something in West Bengal. But this is very old story in Odisha then.
Oh yeah, it's a centuries, and I don't know, since the beginning of Rath Yatra, it has been going on like that.
Very good story. Thank you so much.
You're welcome. Okay, so I guess we can stop here. You all have a safe and wonderful day. Hare Krishna. Jai Shri Prabhupada.
Hare Krishna. Hare Krishna.